to Bledsoe Says So. And even though he was on with us last week, we have my cousin Lee today. Woo! This is going to be more of a open-ended conversational approach with Lee and sharing some more candid, moments between us.
Lee Smith.
Welcome!
Yay, I'm very happy to be here. I've been a long-time listener.
Yeah, you have.
It's funny like
dude.
that.
You've been really super supportive since day one. It's very kind of you.
He has listened to every episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only one I hadn't listened to, and I told Ryan this a little while ago, I didn't listen to Isaac Weishaupt 2.
Okay.
And it was because I hadn't watched Twin Peaks.
Oh, yeah.
But
I haven't seen it either.
And we didn't spoil it.
Then I listened to it, and it was good.
I
liked it. So I am caught up.
Okay, cool.
Actually, though, did y'all do an episode on, like a full episode on the bagel? What's the bagel?
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Not a full episode.
No.
But
Okay.
we've talked about it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have, because I felt like I skipped that episode, but it didn't exist.
You skipped it because it didn't exist.
Yeah. So I have. I'm caught up. Full
You're just
disclosure
tripping.
and all. Yeah, I'm just
The best episode to skip.
Yeah, that's true. Is the one that doesn't exist.
So
True.
Lee's heard every episode. We've intended to get him on the show when the time is right. And this summer it just worked out. And also, like, not only have you listened to every episode, but we grew up together. And since we've been babies, I mean, our birthdays are even 10 days apart. And like our moms are sisters. So like we've just naturally been a part of each other's, lives the whole time.
Yeah.
And Lee was around when a lot of this stuff was coming out. And I think that like you have an interesting perspective on what that was like in the family when the 2008 documentary came out.
Yeah. So I did get a Fayetteville Incident shirt, the lime green one with the UFO. I had one.
Cool.
We watched it the night of, the whole family, and I just didn't understand. Straight up, like,
because you were how old?
I would have been 11.
Yeah,
or 12.
Yeah,
because I was 15. So
you said it aired in 2008.
Yeah,
you should have.
Then I would have been 12.
Yeah.
That's young.
And our birthday's the same month, so if I was 15, you were 12.
Yeah. So I did. I watched it. I just was already. I was still Christian in that way. I was much more adhering, and it was very confusing.
Well, you just said something that was truly a revelation to me that I had no knowledge of. You just said that night your whole family watched it.
We watched it all. All of us were there.
I knew that.
Yeah, we watched. I remember standing up. I'm describing a house that doesn't even exist anymore. But I was, standing up, and then the family was over on the right and all that. We sat and all watched it, and it seemed. I don't remember that super well. I remember the shirts though.
So y'all were all at the big party thing, the big gathering.
No, we did it at our own house.
Okay.
No, I'm just learning that they separately watched.
Yeah. You never knew that?
Nobody ever came up and was like,
"Yeah,
love the show."
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, because that didn't.
It was more
happen.
like, "Don't talk about it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it. As a kid, I'll do a little backstory to lead up to that. I don't know if you knew this, probably not. I was huge. I was absolutely obsessed with ghosts and UFOs. Like, I would go to the school library in elementary school and check out ghost books.
Wow,
real ghost stories. And like, that's, I had made a joke about the Abraham Lincoln of the Boots thing, but everyone knows it. And that was one of the, you didn't know that?
What? No, what?
Oh, the White House is haunted?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, y'all don't know?
You just casually
Can we
made
take a break for a second and hear that?
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah. I mean, it's super simple. I mean, there's a lot of different presidents. I guess it's weird that, so there's a lot of presidents who would report seeing Abraham Lincoln strapping up his boots in a bed in one of the rooms in the White House. And he would roam around it. There's other ghosts. I can't remember who. I can't believe you didn't know that, though.
Oh.
Yeah. It's one of the most famous ghosts in the, country.
I want to read
It's
about
super
that.
fascinating.
Do they have, books? You read books about it?
Yeah, but they were kid books. But they were, it was like real image of a castle and then the things that would go on in the castle and the bumps and all that.
It was like a true stories book.
Yeah, but it was nonfiction, and metaphysical nonfiction. And
But the fact that you were interested in that as a kid was like you were.
So I was already
taboo stuff.
Exactly, and then UFOs the same thing. I can see there's a lot of UFO photos that are the same thing for me. Where there's the image of the ghost woman walking down the stairs, and it's just like this weird form. It looks messed up. Like it's almost like just a dress that's on fire. It looks rad.
Whoa.
It's cool. So I was always really big in the ghost books, and then UFOs the same way with the weird cloud that's got the bulbous shape. I don't know. You've probably seen it.
Totally.
Some of the most quintessential images for UFOs and ghosts. That's what I was really into. So and then like I was always very afraid too. So like I would read these books and then get really scared, like all the time. I would do it all the time, like
It's
torturing
like
yourself.
when we were kids and we would hit ourselves with staplers.
Yeah,
ever
just
do that?
cause.
do that?
No one did that.
Well, when you have three boys in the same house, it's like, like who can do the dumber thing? It's like
Yeah.
you're competing with each other. Or who can?
That's pretty wild.
Who can jump off the
You got
ramp
scars
with a
for that?
bike? It's always going harder and harder.
Do you have proof?
Yeah, the ramp
arms?
thing, I'm on board with the
Yeah.
ramp thing, but a staple.
I never stapled myself.
I mean, it's like
I never stapled myself on purpose.
You're like, I wonder how bad this would hurt.
Stab yourself in the arm with a knife?
No,
I've
never like
done
that.
that.
Never like that.
No way.
It was unintentional, but I definitely pierced the fat of my all the way through.
Yeah, I did that one time too.
I was wondering what was in a
scar somewhere
magnet
on my
doodle, so
thumb.
I got a little pocket knife they gave us from the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I was stabbing into it, and it slipped and just pierced my hand.
On one of my hands, I definitely stabbed a part of my thumb. I don't remember, but
On purpose?
No. I've never like stabbed myself. A stapler. When you're a kid and you would like take like a sewing needle and you would like, ooh, you could put it on.
Yeah,
your,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like
Now
stuff like
I
that.
did.
Yeah,
That I
Yeah.
did.
yeah. I mean, you find
But a
out the
staple
stapler
takes it a
hurts and you're
little
like,
step
ow.
further.
It's
You know,
funny how
never
that's
again.
a universal experience.
Everyone did that.
Yeah.
It's wild. I would do it in class. I wouldn't even pay attention. I would just get like a safety pin. I would just do it and be like,
And then
check
like
that
the
out.
finger floating hot dog thing. Everybody does that.
That's what people always would say. That's the that's where the blind spot is. It's not true. You have a blind spot.
Yeah, I mean, that.
Do you know how you can find it?
How?
Everyone can do it.
How?
So you close one eye, right? Do it. I'm serious.
Uh-huh.
Everyone.
I'm doing
Close
it.
one eye, put your thumb out all the way, arm's length, stare at it. Center, keep your eye on that point, right?
Yeah.
And then drag your thumb to the right. If it's your right eye, do it that way, and your thumb will disappear, swear.
Huh? Wait, huh? What do you
You're doing it right. You're doing it wrong.
Oh,
What do you mean my thumb?
You
will
got to
disappear?
use your left hand with your left eye.
What do you mean?
Focus on the center point where your thumb is, and then keep it focused on that point, and then drag your thumb right, and it disappears.
Whoa.
I have to do that later.
What?
Yeah, but that's the
What
blind spot. That's the little
the-
point in your retina that doesn't gather information, but your brain blurs it to hide it.
Oh my God, Lee! What the hell? You just
Yeah.
blew my mind. You just
What
made my
the
thumb
hell?
disappear.
That's a
What-
Teddy classic. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yo, you know what? It's really interesting to know that you were like into phenomenon adjacent
Oh, yeah.
things.
Yeah, I was so into it.
I
would
have a
get-
question.
Yeah.
What were you more afraid of? Ghosts?
Ghosts.
Or, really?
But now I'm like, please let me see a ghost.
Yeah.
I want to see a ghost. Take me to a haunted
I
house
feel like
now.
ghosts are just inherently scarier, like
Yeah.
by nature.
Well, it's uncanny. Like
Yeah.
it's a dead person, and by
Yeah.
your reckoning, like that's someone who's not alive. They're at all.
Yeah.
At least in that idea.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
I've always been super fascinated with ghosts and stuff like that. I love cryptids. I've always loved like Bigfoot. Like you've always liked Bigfoot.
Do you have a fave cryptid?
Mothman.
Come on
There's a
now.
festival in Point Pleasant I want to go to this year.
There's a festival?
They do it every year annually in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Oh, that's
Yeah, dude.
cool.
That's pretty cool. So, what was the vibe like? I mean, you don't have to like point out anybody in specific, but like,
Yeah,
what
yeah, I
was,
can.
What was the vibe like when all the like initial
So,
phenomenon stuff started happening?
It's how you describe it pretty much. There's a lot of don't talk about it. It's either not true or it's not
insane.
yeah. Or drugs and drinking.
Reverend.
Like drinking.
when you drink and you hallucinate.
Yeah.
see
And then
things.
7 other people. Well, 4?
There were 5 total,
5.
Yeah.
5 other people.
including my dad and brother. So,
Yeah. So it's always been that way where it's never like I've never been encouraged to ask questions about it because
did you ever ask questions about it?
No, I didn't. Not until if I'm being honest.
I mean,
I didn't really
not
ask
to me, but like to other people.
No, I mean, I would say that like I've never been keen on asking questions.
Because you know how the response would be.
Yeah, I guess
we
so.
talked about that in the last
But
episode.
Yeah, but I don't mean that negatively. That's just
Right.
kind of like
Right.
you can have the most perfect parents and you still really don't.
Well, there's a dynamic when you're children.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes we forget about this as adults, but it really was like 20 years ago when you're a kid, it's kind of like, I don't want my mom and dad to know what I'm
Exactly.
thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the kid is like, I
I-
don't want to get in trouble.
I can assure you, I didn't want my parents knowing I was reading about ghosts and UFOs.
Right.
Really?
Right. I
Yeah.
didn't want
No,
my mom knowing
absolutely
I'm
not.
playing Grand
I mean, I got
Theft Auto.
saved at 7.
No,
and I
wow.
was doing ghost things at like 5 and 6.
Damn!
And as soon as I could, pretty much, maybe not 5. That seems pretty early. I don't imagine
like
I was
learning
going
to
to
read,
a
bro.
library. yeah. It would have been 2nd or 3rd grade
You're like
at the
genius level.
earliest. Yeah, I was thinking about it. But I've always had a huge fascination with ghosts. I've always thought they were super cool.
That's
I mean,
cool.
I like ghost stories. Like something like, you saw VHS. You don't like it very much, but my favorite one is
I also saw that like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd probably like it.
it
a lot
hasn't
more now.
aged as well.
What are we talking about?
It's a movie called VHS.
Lee shares the fascination with horror films.
Yeah. I'm just like as insane as Ryan is about horror movies.
I was gonna make a joke, but I won't.
Do you
Do
guys
it.
have some of the same faves?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
what's your
The Thing, Hereditary. Yeah,
Void.
easy clap, huh?
Void, you recommended
The Void is incredible.
You put me on that one.
Yeah, me and Brandon
That's what I
watched.
was telling you
Shout out
last
my
time.
good friend Brandon. I love him to death.
Yo,
Shout out Brandon.
I love him.
I'm like pretty spooked by
I know.
scary stuff. So okay, The Void. Where is that on the spectrum of spookiness?
It's
The thing
weird.
that-
It's intense.
It is intense. Because I would. Sorry.
How dare you touch my toes?
I'll do it again. So like The Void, horror movies are weird because like Hereditary is scary.
It actually
It's
is.
scary.
It's actually scary.
I like As Above, So Below. That's pretty scary, I would say.
It's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like terrifying to me, but it's like
It's scary.
to an entry level. Like
Yeah.
I could see, it's scary.
I'd probably.
But The
poop myself.
Void, The Thing, Color Out of Space,
I saw that.
you could handle the Void.
No,
If-
whoa.
I
You know better what movies I've seen and what I
From Nick's perspective,
okay.
The Void would be it's a pretty
It's
like,
intense. I don't
it's
think
a pretty
scary,
horrific film. Well, dude, you're desensitized, Lee.
though. Okay.
You're wearing shirts about the Binding of
The Lost
Isaac, where
Boy.
they like, they're like
I
these,
love my
these
Isaac.
little weird little boys who like go into hell and like
Okay.
fight these deranged
Well,
monsters.
they only go into Sheol.
Well, you get my point.
Yeah.
You're desensitized to horror films.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Nick, like, dude, remember, The Void is like
It's very
horrific,
intense.
putrid dismemberment of these cosmic creatures coming through from the void, and
Yeah.
like it's a pretty intense
Well,
movie.
it's funny because my aversion to horror is very specific.
Is it jump scares?
Yes.
There's no jumps. I can't say that. It's
I
been
mean,
a long
there's definitely
time,
some.
It's the jump scare and the tension building up to the jump scare.
Hereditary.
It makes me literally like go into panic.
Hereditary doesn't ever break that tension. That's why it works so well.
nah.
It never
I can't-
breaks the
I
tension.
can't do that.
It never once breaks the tension ever.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But like, I love like The Witch. The Witch is awesome.
If you can handle the witch, you can handle the void, right?
I mean,
The witch is freaking wild.
I'm
It's
just
crazy.
I love that movie.
I'm coming from a place that The Void is one of those films where it's like very atmospheric,
Yeah.
ominous. Like it's one of those films that's like some films induce this dread, like there's absolutely no chance of survival, and
The void does kind of do that.
It's like
for
crawling
sure.
in corridors
Yeah.
by like deranged beasts from another dimension that are like, after you in tight spaces.
Yeah.
Like it's a very intense movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
But
I guess if you ever
let's watch it and we'll report on it.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced the feeling of being chased? The scary feeling of being chased.
Or trapped.
Yeah. Like, if you ever played like Minecraft, as silly as that is, like, have you ever been running away from an Enderman?
Well, I have thousands
scary, right?
of hours in Minecraft.
It's
so
scary.
Yeah.
It kind of induces that sometimes. I can see where you're coming from with that.
Nick, did you ever play Slenderman?
Did you play Slender,
Yeah, I
the
did.
7 pages?
I did.
The 8
Yeah.
pages, sorry.
I did.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty spooky. It's weird because like some horror
It's
movies,
Slender.
some horror movies I can just handle great, no problem.
Yeah.
Midsummer is like I don't know if is that
It's
a
not
horror?
even horror.
Yeah, it's
That-
not.
I
It's a
would- yeah,
thriller.
no.
It's a thriller.
Well, it's actually considered a comedy,
Yeah.
a black comedy.
I
Yeah.
love like thrillers.
It's very funny.
Like The Shining's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's so good.
Alien is probably my favorite horror movie ever. It's like
Oh my God, Alien's amazing.
it's unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like the moment when the replicant gets
dude.
revealed. Nothing like it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Because you never see it coming.
No.
And then it happens and you're like, what are
it's
they going to do?
One of the worst feeling rug pulls you can
I think I
experience
like
in a
The
movie.
Thing better.
Oh yeah,
Never
the
seen
thing
it.
is better.
Never seen it.
That's unfair. I love the thing. It's very good.
Yeah.
You would like The Thing.
Yeah,
you would.
You definitely
The
would love that
Thing.
movie.
He's been telling me that for like over a year.
I know.
I'm ready to watch it. I'll watch it. Like,
And The Void is basically
It's just inspired, I think.
yeah.
The premise is like they're trapped in a hospital, like around a cult, and they're like really trying. A cult. It is like
They
a
are
cult.
a cult.
And they are constantly being attacked by
The cult.
weird things.
Well, they're being attacked by the cult, but
Yeah.
the cult is like sacrificing them to open a doorway to the void where
Yeah.
these entities are coming through from another dimension. So
Yeah.
it's both.
Yeah.
It's like they're being stalked by these psycho killers with knives, but then there's like demonic monsters.
Yeah. And then
it's
it has all the
prosthetic.
practical effects. Yeah, the practical
practical.
effects
It's
are
all
amazing.
practical.
You know what's crazy? Since we're talking about The Thing and prosthetics, have you seen what The Thing from 2011 was gonna be?
I haven't watched it.
I haven't either, but it's all CG and everyone hates it for that reason.
Yeah.
They had prosthetics.
Practical.
Yeah, you tricked
Yeah,
me.
I'm trying to say that.
They had practical effects that were crazy, but then the movie got rushed out and they couldn't.
So they just CG'd it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like there's one of the things that they would do, The Thing, where it was a piston with a silicon like ball on it. So when it would be like an eye opening and closing from like a sphincter type orifice. It was disgusting, but it was so good. It was so good.
I'm always going to be more impressed with practical effects over CGI.
It's always better, and then
Always.
it's gotten so convincing.
It is always better.
Yeah, it
In
looks.
horror.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
even think about
Star Wars.
Yeah, slight
I
spoiler.
love episode 4.
Slight spoiler, but like when episode 7 came out, they went back to like
I love that.
mostly practical effects, and it was like the charm was back.
There's nothing that's captured episode 4 though. Episode 4 is my favorite.
Yeah.
I love the vibe of a man playing with toys because that's what it is.
Pretty
Honestly,
much.
though, like we gotta all agree, CGI Yoda is better than puppet Yoda.
No.
It depends.
Yes, because he'd be
in puppet form in the original
in the
trilogy.
original. In episode
is
1,
good.
Yoda's goofy.
Yeah,
In episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
but
Puppet is goofy.
when they, we'll say when that makes a return.
Yes, it's fire. It's
It's
fire.
fire.
It's fire. So fire, bro. Oh my God. But I mean, look, the thing is, like, yes, CG Yoda like pops off with all the cool action.
Yeah.
But puppet Yoda spits facts.
Yeah.
Like, so
he's
hard.
gonna say something important.
Luminous beings are we? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God,
Not
bro.
this crude material.
Yeah, bro. He's just spitting facts.
So, okay. What age were you when you started to, get into the phenomenon stuff with our family? Like, we never really talked about this openly until we were adults.
Yeah, I would say probably. So I've always, I'll preface it by saying I've always believed y'all, but I've always been confused where it fit into Christianity.
Yeah.
Because that's always what you do, right?
Yeah.
You try to define it with what you know.
Mhm.
And what I knew was Christianity. So like I tried to make it fit. Sorry, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, same. I mean,
Yeah.
when it first started, I was.
I know.
Exactly.
That's not really for you, I guess.
It's the natural reaction.
Yeah. So like I've always known, I've always felt like I've always believed, but I never, and I can't like approach y'all about it because it's confusing. It's something, it's weird. I could have, obviously I could have.
Yeah. We would have been happy.
I know. It's too late to regret it, but I do feel
Dude,
a little.
You were a child.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was really coming
You
around
are
to it
not
late.
on the list of people who made this hard. There's nothing to regret.
not even close to the
yes,
list.
No, I'm just saying it would have been okay
Yeah.
if you did.
yeah,
You know.
I know.
Yeah.
But I've always, I've sat in the red room. I
Yeah.
sat in. We watched Catching Bigfoot. Hunting. What is it?
Yeah, I think it was
Tracking. What is it?
I don't remember, but I know the show you're talking about.
Is it?
The Bigfoot
Expedition
show.
Bigfoot
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, we watched that. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
watching that. And I loved it because I love, I've always loved cryptids. I love Mothman. I love the Fresno Nightcrawler. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's a home security footage video of what's essentially white sweatpants with eyes.
Huh? Wait,
And they're
what?
walking, and there's like a big one and a little one.
What?
Dude, look at it.
I
I
never
love
heard of
them.
that one.
I love them.
Yo, did y'all see? Lee, you're on TikTok, right? Like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, did y'all, that is not a shameful thing.
Yeah.
I love.
No, it's just
TikTok.
I'm not really.
I love
have
TikTok.
I just swipe.
I like it has a lot of drawbacks, but
Yeah.
there's so much amazing information content on
I'm
it.
worse with Twitter.
Last month, there was like an explosion of gnome videos on TikTok.
Yeah.
Face.
Yeah.
Hey, wait.
Yeah.
Dude, it's exactly what it is. Don't think too hard about it. There was an explosion of people posting videos that they were claiming was gnomes.
Yeah. It must have come off of the Me as a Baby. It must have come off that train.
I love that.
Yeah, that was funny.
The me as a baby thing is so funny.
I can hear that song in my dreams. Like the little song.
Dude, I swear, like there's just been a resurgence of like,
Little cryptids.
Cryptids and
I love
like
little
gnomes.
fake cryptids and
Is
stuff.
gnome
yeah.
a cryptid?
No, it's folklore.
Okay.
I would
Yeah,
say.
but
there's
I
a
think
fine
they
line
cr-
between
they
the two.
cross,
They
though.
do. Like I wouldn't say, and I don't like saying Wendigo too much. There's some negative. In the native sphere, it's like inviting it.
Right.
Same thing with
Oh.
Skinwalker.
It's
you
like-
shouldn't say it, but like you
Yeah.
can't
Well, they're
avoid
kind of
it.
the same thing, right?
In a way, it's from what I understand. I'm white. I don't know for sure, but like the
And I can Google and read.
exactly, yeah.
Like-
but like what I understand is it's like cloak, like Nine Tails cloak. You gain the ability. That's like you're not. It's kind of like planeswalking.
From what
That might help you a little better.
From what I understand about Wendigo is just like possession.
That okay? Well, those two are separate. Like that's based on like a curse that you get driven to a point of desperation, and the curse of that inhabits you, and then you consume, and then the more you consume, the more intense it gets. They get to a point where they eat their own lips. It becomes so ravenous.
Who eats their lips?
The Wendigo. Yeah.
Okay, is a Wendigo / Skinwalker
They're different.
considered? Okay,
They're
are
definitely
Yeah.
different.
Are they considered egregore types?
In a way, it just depends. It's native lore.
Okay.
It's the Wendigo is Algonquin. I don't know what the Skinwalker is, if I'm being
Ute.
honest. Utes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're
Is it one of those things where like people's belief in
It
them,
can, yeah.
Like,
It's like this. It's like you think you see shows like Supernatural and all this other pop culture media. There's video games about it where the Wendigo is like a creature.
yeah.
But the belief is more like it's a spirit
Yeah.
that takes over you,
I see.
Yeah.
and you
And that's
go
kinda
on
like
a
what's-
rampage through the Wendigo,
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
and you become like this feral demonic spirit.
And it's undying.
And
If
you're
you pass
cannibalistic,
on,
and
it
they like
continues.
they really believe this. Like they would
Yeah.
have.
That's wild.
And that's why
Right.
we don't like. It's frowned upon to talk about it by name in some tribes. For that,
But I'm like Harry Potter, bro. I'm like
Voldemort,
Yeah.
Voldemort,
But the same thing with the Skinwalker, same kind of thing. It's more of like the ability, kind of like planeswalking in the Magic the Gathering type sphere.
Gotcha.
Of course, you're not learning to walk across planes. You're learning to change your shape physically, and it's wild. It's super fascinating. I
Yeah.
love both stories. I love both lores very much, but they're not cryptids. I wouldn't.
Okay.
They're definitely lore, or folklore, myth. More appropriate. But I think Mothman's kind of gotten to that point a little bit too. It's a bit of both, a bit of lore, a bit of cryptid. Bigfoot's the same way. I mean, y'all have your own spiritual, y'all have a mythos of your own for the Bigfoot in its own way.
yeah. Well,
like your
which is
dad's
also-
incredible dream.
and it cross references with like I think it's called Farsight, which is where not the Monroe. They later got involved with Monroe, but the Army, the Project Stargate, remote viewers.
Yeah.
They were getting similar hits about Bigfoot. Like my
Really?
dad. Yes.
Similar to
the
your dad's
80s.
dream.
You've talked about the dream. Yeah,
In-
yeah.
in
On
the
the
80s.
show. It's very cool.
In the 80s, they were getting similar information, and then Dad had that dream. So
And just to refresh my memory, it's that like the Bigfoot is a species from some other
Mars.
realm or some other planet. Or
well, what happened in Dad's dream is they were on another planet. I can't recall the name. I don't even know if they were given one in Dad's dream. Not Monroe. I keep saying Monroe. The remote viewers with Project Stargate, I think they called it like Marduk or something like that, or maybe that's even in other literature. But they were on another planet. Okay, so now from the perspective of my dad's dream, they wiped themselves out in a cataclysm, and the Guardians, this sounds like some movie plot or something.
It's
Like
great.
high fantasy
I
lore.
love it.
But
It's
like,
awesome.
I love
the
it.
beings that like my dad experienced initially, they called themselves the Guardians. In my dad's dream, they came in and they kind of like just took all the souls of the billions of dead beings who wiped themselves out. And, when they destroyed themselves, they went into a shock. Like they always say spirits stay behind when it has a shocking death. Well, imagine a whole race having a shocking extinction.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So the guardians took their souls, fashioned them a more primitive body, brought them to Mars, and gave them the capabilities of interdimensional travel, and they kind of roam between Mars and Earth.
So this is
So cool.
That was in Dad's dream.
So cool.
It's very, and I think we covered this when we talked about this. It was so long ago, but it's very similar to the declassed excerpt on CIA.gov, the 1984 mission to Mars, where they had a remote viewing team, remote view Mars.
That's exactly what I was just saying. Like, they correlate.
Well, that's
They got the same information, basically.
right.
With different
Yeah, and
terminology.
you can go read that PDF online.
I
It's
think
my
it was
favorite.
called Project Farsight or something.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
Farsight. I don't
if you
know.
just
Cool
Google
names.
CIA mission
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Mars, it comes up.
But yeah, they were like convinced like the way we go to other planets is with our mind back then. I don't know. Anyway, so like it's crazy. Like the reason that the beings supposedly created their primitive bodies was so that they would have like lower cognitive capabilities, so that they could redevelop over time, and so that it wouldn't be such a great shock. So it was like
Wow.
rehabilitating the souls, allowing them to slowly evolve over time again, but be protected and safe. Like that, nobody
Yeah.
can really capture Bigfoot on camera. It just dips away,
Wow.
it just hops away.
That's so cool.
Who knows if that's all true? I mean, it was
Of
a dream,
course.
right?
Right.
But
yeah.
Could be some big allegory
Yeah.
or symbol or, some
What if we're
abstract.
Bigfoot?
Huh? Yeah. Wow. That what if?
I got small feet.
I would
Hobbit
qualify. I would
Hobbit.
qualify as a Bigfoot. I think.
I do have pretty small feet.
Oh my God! You know what's so funny about that? My whole life growing up, my parents called me Bigfoot
Really?
because to this day they still call me Bigfoot because I walk very heavy. And like we had very, I guess, like hollow floors, or
Yeah.
you step, it makes a lot of sound, like boom. They would always say they could hear me coming a mile away because I just boom when I walk. So they would always call me Bigfoot. So maybe I am a Bigfoot.
Maybe. Makes a lot of sense.
Wow, thanks.
Got them stompers.
It resonates with me. Bigfoot's dope, dude.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I got used to that cool Bigfoot shirt years ago.
I have Bigfoot meditating in a little.
yeah,
Got his
yeah.
little mudra going on.
Can you do that?
Come on, man, that's cool.
Can you do that with your legs?
Nah, well, I don't have shoes on right
Hey,
now.
we did.
fair.
We did a skit where we tried to do that.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, I watched that.
The yoga skit.
I was the only one.
We tried. Yeah, you watched
Yeah.
it 700
Well,
times.
well, for now. It's
I know, I'm
the only
joking.
one.
I know.
There will eventually be more when
Yeah, it'll blow up.
Yeah. But okay, cool. So we didn't really talk about the phenomenon stuff until we were adults. But,
Oh, yeah.
But like, when did you really when did it start clicking with you?
It's hard to say. Like, I've always wanted to know more. The story's always been incredibly fascinating. I've always I've just always wanted to hear more. I would say maybe teens. I was a little bit more curious because at that point y'all were falling in line with what I was already reading about. I would read creepypasta as a kid. All the time. I would be in high school, not doing work, looking at my phone, reading about the goat man. All the time. So I was already damn, I got the goat man in my backyard?
Meanwhile, his brother, who has said this on the show, so it's okay to talk about,
Is
he's
having
having
his own?
nightmares and visions about being dragged to hell.
Yeah. And hearing dad when he wakes up.
Playing Diablo 2 every day.
Yeah. And I like Diablo.
Might be a trend.
Yeah. Well, Warren and I fell into a similar path, I would say. We both are really interested by Christian themes. In
Yeah.
that way, he likes Diablo.
also
I like
spooky
Isaac. It's
themes.
literally the same thing. It's called The Binding of Isaac, which is a story in the Bible about Isaac being sacrificed. Lo and behold, he dies in his own way. But and it's filled with its own runes from Nordic mythology. It's filled with the zodiac stuff. I love it. I'm so
you were
it's the combination of the two. It marries the two things I'm really cool with.
right. You were
Christianity and
subconsciously being pulled in those directions.
yeah,
Because of
I've always
something.
been interested in zodiac. People would talk about their horoscope, and I was like, "That's weird. I've got no clue what that means."
Yeah.
but it talks about, and I love space. Space
Yeah.
is my biggest fascination, except horror and are and
ghosts
other things.
and-
But and
Goat
ghosts
Man.
and Goat Man. I
Goat
love that
cheese.
story, man. If you've ever read the Goat Man, it's fire. It's
No, I've
so.
never
I've never
Really?
heard of the goat man. I've heard of the goat boy.
Are you the goat?
me.
Yeah, you're the
Oh
goat.
my god!
No, that
Ryan.
was truly a blank. That was downright
You
pathetic.
tried, dude.
That was downright pathetic.
It's
You
okay.
swung at
It's
this.
okay.
yeah, I,
It's okay.
I swung and
I got it.
didn't even make it on the field.
I got it. I don't know what you're talking about. I said you're the goat.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate you.
But yeah, like I've always been fascinated with it. I've always wanted to know more, but it's hard to approach that when like some of the first things you were like piecemealing with me was like that was some of the first things.
Yeah, we
Yeah, that's it. That's all we
controversial
got.
territory.
Yeah. But that's
I
like
don't
one of
know
the
what
first.
the fuck you're talking
well,
about.
you look it up later.
Okay.
it's like
It's not great.
Or don't.
no, it's
I mean,
Or the
you know.
the
no,
CERN.
we might have to blur that one.
Do you know what that is?
Yes,
Yeah, that's kinda why I stopped going into conspiracies.
It's like elite. It's like elite.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
It's
go
like
for a worm.
elite, like bad stuff to kids type stuff.
Yeah.
stuff we don't. It's okay.
All right.
We can just blur the word. No big deal.
Sure.
I mean, you never know. YouTube could be listening and ping that word.
Yeah, I should
you
have
know?
chose a different phrase. Whatever.
It's
We'll move
okay.
on.
It's okay.
Yeah, and then CERN, which that one's cool.
Yeah.
CERN is
CERN was
wild.
wild.
I'll
When he showed
never-
that to me, I was like, this is
What
undescribable.
did he show you? The commencement ceremony?
Yeah, the tunnel.
Oh,
It just
God.
makes no sense. Why would they do that?
Yeah.
The whole entire time I was watching,
4 hours
you were
of
showing,
weird.
I was like, it just bad vibes. It felt wrong. It felt
did.
wrong.
It did.
dude.
It's a doozy of a watch.
It's not great.
Oh my
So those were
God.
like some of the first things. Like, I mean, we would always talk about horror stuff already. I
Right.
feel like we talked about games, so it's just we never like because I didn't like go to your house very often. I hung out with Emily a lot more. Shout out Emily.
Shout
I'll
out
do it for
Emily.
you.
Yeah.
And like so, like we would just y'all would play Pokemon and stuff. I was never huge on Pokemon until way later. Yeah, I feel like I've always like been out of step or first in getting into things.
Really?
So yeah, like One Piece.
I always. Oh, okay. I've always felt the opposite. I've always felt very slow to
Really?
pick up on this kind of stuff. And interestingly enough, when I finally got like my big breakdown of my astrology chart, that was one of the things that it said is that you are slow to pick up on metaphysical concepts and things like that. But when you do catch on to them, you like fully concrete them
Yeah.
in your, I don't know, your mentality or whatever it is. But I mean, I had a similar experience with like, at first hearing about all this stuff, I did the same thing, like try to fit it inside the Christianity box
Yeah.
and all of that stuff.
big for the box,
Everyone
like that
tries to
cat.
fit it in that box
Yeah.
first, whatever the box is.
And so serendipitously, it was like I was kind of going through my own religious deconstruction at the time that like right before Ryan and I started talking about like doing the podcast and like before really Ryan had started dropping the heat on me
Yeah.
of like the esoteric stuff, the metaphysical stuff, I was already going through like a religious deconstruction,
Yeah.
kind of realizing the contradictions and the moral contradictions.
Yeah.
It was really the concept of hell that did it for me. I
Yeah,
was like,
it's super scary. It doesn't quite
Doesn't make
make
sense.
total
It's not really
sense.
a positive message.
It
Yeah,
makes
no.
no sense.
And then like
Only the elite few perfect are allowed to like not suffer for the rest of all eternity.
Yeah.
It's absurd. And so
It's just not the way it
that
works.
was happening already. And then me and Ryan were kind of reconnecting and he's dropping this heat on me. And every time he would come to me with something, it's like I would feel this little glow inside of me like, that's it. That's the thing that...
You know, I was doing that intentionally because I was trying to. I remembered how like when you were younger, a lot of this conversation would terrify you.
Oh, yeah. It scared me a lot.
I was trying to show you.
horrified.
I was trying to show you certain things that had proofs behind them to like make you see things that you can't unsee.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, like the 6-pointed star vortex on the surface of Saturn. Like you can't really.
That was
So
huge.
fun.
You can't really. Yeah, when you saw that one, you were like,
Dude, I still show people that to this day. Because we've been saying the past couple of days, like I'm a science guy. It just really interests me. And that was one thing where I was like, hang on, that's that can't be real.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, that's not real.
That was NASA.
There's
images.
not there's not a hexagonal storm just raging on Saturn. There's no was Saturn.
Saturn, yeah.
There's
The
no way.
negative.
And then I just went and looked, and every picture is a hexagonal storm on the bottom of Saturn, and I'm like, oh, this is
How do you
real.
explain that?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
You don't. It's bigger than us. It's,
Right.
Yeah.
It's bigger than what just science alone can comprehend.
Right.
We have a tiny thing that we can study here,
Right.
and we're not there. It's just not possible. We can talk about it, but
Yeah. And that was one of the first major things that clicked in my brain. Like, this is something.
Yeah, I think so.
I think also when you found out about Aleister Crowley, because that's like real history, and you start Googling him, and you start Googling all the people publicly who, associate with him. It opens this rabbit hole, even though it's all dark and negative.
Yeah.
It opens this rabbit hole in your mind, like people really are into this stuff.
yeah.
And Osiris was a huge part of it too. You telling me about your dream?
Yeah. That I think that for me, I agree. Sorry.
No, cut me off. That's
See,
what we do on
I'm
this
always
show.
like,
Yeah.
I'm always hesitant to tell that dream because of what people think, but like that changed my life.
Yeah.
It kind of changed mine too, because like it's such a specific, vivid telling of, it's like hinting at the mythology of Osiris. It's like you're just having this as a dream. And it's like, it's one thing to just see Osiris in a dream, but the whole like frog dying and coming back to life thing.
And I felt this deep sadness for it. Like it died and suffered in my hand. I was like lost.
It sounds more like a trip than it does a dream.
Yeah.
Like it's more, the way you describe it seems it was just uncharacteristically very vivid.
It was hyper vivid. It was borderline lucid, but I
Yeah.
wasn't aware that I was in a dream.
Yeah.
But the vividness of it was like real life.
I just remember always feeling like this is way too specific to not be significant.
Yeah.
This
Well-
is so
also, like, I
specific.
knew nothing about Osiris other than from Smite, the video game, and I thought, I never even played the character really and read it. I just thought
Yeah.
he was an evil god.
Yeah.
He's green. He looks like a mummy. Like, I'm thinking he's a bad guy, right?
Green.
Like, he's got a sickle. I just thought he was a scary, like, evil Frankenstein god. I didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
And I had that dream, and I was like, I can't stop thinking about this. I'm so curious. And you look it up, and it's like a early archetype of like Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
Or it might be the original.
I think that was one of the big things for me too. Like I really like most of no like religion is like original.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all share very specific details with each other. Like there's always a great flood.
Right.
Like there's always something, and then the existence of a prodigal son type figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like when you describe like Egyptian, and that's way older,
Yeah.
like way older
Yeah.
than Christianity, I felt like that was
Bro,
a really big.
Jesus grew up in Egypt.
yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
common knowledge.
Yeah. And
So when you-
And then
like,
he came back spitting heat.
and then you go back and you realize that there's stuff that goes even further back, like
Yeah.
Zoroastrianism.
Yeah.
That was a huge click for me as well.
It's so
Like,
weird
Well,
how
Egypt's
modern.
before that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's,
Zoroastrianism is
Y'all listen to
only
me.
1,000 years before Christ.
Oh, damn, I'm
3,000 BC. But it's still old. It's still
Oh,
older
yeah, for
than
sure.
Yeah,
it's
for
still older than Christianity.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know
for
what
sure.
I mean? And it's like some deep spiritual wisdom. The original Zoroastrianism.
Right.
Yeah.
Not what it later turned into, which was like Mithraism.
Mm-hmm.
That is a far shoot from the original. But they're different texts, but it all claims to be Zoroastrianism, whatever. That's a more in-depth study.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, bro. Like I've walked away from all of this. Like where I am at right now in this moment, I believe that there is a true, I say Christ consciousness force. I also say Buddha consciousness, but for some reason that doesn't ring to me in the same way. Because when I think of Buddha consciousness, I think of a man. Or,
Yeah.
or just a
It
human.
is more human.
I'm a man, so I think of a man. But I think of a human who is wise, who is enlightened. But when I think of Christ consciousness, I think of someone who is awakened to more of a cosmic, divine compassion, love. And maybe that's because I grew up Christian and I have a little bit more of a emotional tickle when I think of the word Christ as over Buddha.
Sure,
I
yeah.
didn't grow up a Buddhist.
Sure.
Yeah.
They may very well be the same thing.
Mm.
But I believe there is a thing, that there is a level of consciousness that a human can experience that is in resonance with the actual, you could say, secret or true vibration of light.
Mhm.
Christ consciousness.
I would
Love.
figure they would be the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do kind of fall into a similar vein of like ideas. It's just which one got spun in which way.
It's
Right.
even like it was either Ram Dass or Terrence McKenna who said like when you go into the DMT realm, you're in the room with Christ and Buddha,
yeah.
at the same time. Which
Yeah.
one? Who was that?
That was
Ram Dass or Terrence McKenna?
I gotta think about it. It might have been.
I think it was
It
Ram
was one
Dass.
or the other. I think it was
Terrence
Ram
McKenna
Dass.
would have been the
Ram
mushroom guy more
Because we did a
right?
Ram
Yeah.
Dass episode. We've never done a Terrence McKenna
Right.
episode.
Yeah, you've
which
only
we
talked about it in
should
the past.
actually.
Oh, yes,
we really should.
I
It's about
love it.
time. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
dude,
Actually,
you know
it's
what?
about him.
Let me say this real quick. It's kind of funny. We're 2 years into this. We're 100 plus episodes in, and I think back sometimes. I'm like, why have we not talked about this?
Yeah.
Like, why have we not done Nikola Tesla?
Yeah.
You know, we get so stressed about what should we talk about? What should we talk about? And there's so much more that we can explore.
bro.
It's exciting when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah. Every
know?
time we get together, like, what are the next few episodes? It's like we come up with it fast because there's
Yeah.
so
There's an endless supply. There is.
There really
We used to
is.
think
There's
there
too many
wasn't, or at
people.
least I did. I used to think like
We're gonna
we're gonna run
of
out
things.
eventually.
Nah.
No, it's impossible.
There's
When
so
you-
many figures that you can just study. Honestly, like because you'll get to a point where you might have just maybe not defined, but like described a lot of belief systems and stuff. But you'll always have figures. Like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and like even if they're not great figures, you'll like I'm not suggesting do a Aleister Crowley, but I am suggesting that he is worth studying.
Oh, yeah.
So, like-
we talk about him on the show all the time.
Exactly. So
He's
like
sitting right
there's
there.
plenty. I didn't want to.
He's
Well,
sitting
dude, it's
right
like,
there.
why do we sit in high school and we're forced to study Nazis? Like, I think, it shouldn't be seen as a bad thing to study things that are bad.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on your intention.
Because you can learn things from horrible things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
You can learn things.
My opinion is more like, it's like that, but it's also like, I just want to be aware of what has happened.
Sure.
Period.
Yeah.
Like
Get
neutral.
the whole story.
I just want to know what has happened.
Yeah.
I want to know answers. I'm not trying to get down and, study this material as a neophyte and become enlightened by, Master Crowley. I just want to know what happened.
You know
Yeah.
what
It's
that is?
neutral.
That's something Alex don't know about yet. That's some gray Jedi shit. That's some.
He's about to find out real soon about the Gray Jedi. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's being aware of information without, endorsing it or being attached to it or whatever. Yeah, I think everybody should study a little bit of Aleister Crowley and see that is a reality. But I also am like, we've talked about this many times on the show. Like, is a lot of that propaganda to freak people out?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Some of it could be.
How
It
could I
very well
know?
be.
Yeah. How could any of us know? He could have been a psyop. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
Could have been.
It could have been. It
Yeah.
really could have been.
Ryan talks all the time about how he was MI6.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, that's just history.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very likely. It's more than possible. It's likely.
Yeah.
You know?
I think so too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, I'm definitely convinced there is some sort of Christ conscious thing. Just to wrap up that
Yeah. That
part,
thread.
But like, it matters, like being kind to people, being compassionate, being, just smiling. Like,
Mhm.
I'm telling you, dude, for the first time in my life, after that documentary aired the other night, I just laid in bed and I just smiled.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I don't just sit around and smile.
I love
You know what
that.
I mean? And it was like,
You know, I did too.
It was good.
That whole,
you texted us. You like, this got me geeking
oh,
or
yeah.
smiling.
That's
Yeah.
right. I
Geeking.
texted the group and I was like, I can't stop smiling.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, I smiled like until I fell asleep.
same.
It just made me feel so relieved and so happy. Like,
Yeah. I mean, you've been since January.
Uh-huh.
Like you have been toiling
yeah.
internally, out and externally.
Well, since January of 2007.
Yeah.
I've been toiling. and-
Yeah.
No, but seriously,
but
yeah,
that's
we
still not
recorded
wrapped
in
up.
January of 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
The story isn't over, but
Right.
like
Have you ever had any sightings?
I have had one night with Chris Senior. We went. He was like on the phone most of the time, which it was book related, so it was around then, or while it was being written.
So the past year or
Couple
so?
years, yeah. I do not have many. I
He
have,
started writing the book only like last April, so it's
Yeah.
been within the year.
Yeah.
and we went out there. I think it was last summer, like
Gotcha.
the start of last summer, around March.
Gotcha.
I can probably put it in March, maybe April. It doesn't really matter, but there, we saw like he described about 10 to 15. I think that's pretty accurate. I saw some pretty strange, obviously undefinable visuals.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not like, I want more. I really want more. But I did see, I saw orbs.
You be careful what you wish for, bro.
No, I don't want to be careful
the story
about
about little baby Lee studying spooks and ghosts and books and coming home scared, and you're sitting right here,
it.
smack dab in the face of reality.
I've transferred that energy from fear into excitement.
To wonder.
Ooh.
Yeah, to curiosity and wonder. I
That's
like that.
alchemy.
I used to
It
in
is.
that like idea, I would like walk around the house being like afraid I'm going to see a ghost, and now I'm like, let me see one.
Yeah, let me see that ghost.
Let me see
Hold
one.
on.
He's like, what?
He's getting bucked with the ghost.
I'd rather prepare myself to be afraid than be afraid to see.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's a quote. That's a quote right there. I'm trying to rip that. That was good.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. That's amazing.
That's awesome, dude. Can I tell you all the story about the night before the documentary aired?
Yeah.
Please.
I hadn't told you this yet.
Okay.
I told Alex because I've seen, I came home and we've seen each other a few times since. It was pretty wild.
You said this is the night before it aired?
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So it aired, let me get it straight because it aired late at night. August 1st was what day? Tuesday?
Sure.
Would have been
Okay.
because,
Okay, so Monday night. I think it was Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Monday night, it was Marky's wedding. Shout out Marky.
Shut up.
He and his brother Bobby they're like a fan favorite episode of ours. It was a while back, but I think we called it Mormonism and Demonic Encounters. Anyway, Marky got married. So we were.
Congrats, Marky.
Congrats.
It was such a beautiful wedding, dude. It was such a wonderful, just great time, and I'm so happy for their family. But they came over to Skywatch. Both of the brothers, some of like Bobby's girlfriend, some of their friends, and it was just like a crowd of us out there. But right before they got there, Monday night, yes, the night of his wedding, he came to Skywatch. You caught on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, but it was a complicated situation, and it was totally fine. He was not in the doghouse. It was
Right.
like it worked out perfect. Like family in town, bride's busy. So anyway, he comes over to Skywatch, and right before they get there, my dad and I are just kind of like getting back from the wedding, settling for a minute. The night before we all Skywatched, we didn't see anything, but the sky was like 100% covered in clouds. And you know how it goes. It's pretty hard to see things on a cloud.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
see anything the night before.
Uh-huh.
But we were also kind of feeling the vibe, me and Dad. We didn't want to tell the group, like, nah, we're not going to see anything tonight. But, like, also we kind of feel it, like, tonight's not really the night. So we just talked. We had an open conversation, meeting new friends, blah, blah, blah. The second night, we get out there, like, it's on. And, like, the clouds were gone, and we're sitting there. And right before they start showing up, Dad and I were talking about the time in 2012 when I had my intense experience with what Dad says was the lady. It's the experience when I'm like talking to him, like I want to see an entity, and Dad's like, cutting through the story here. He's like, dude, you got to shift your perspective. They're magical. They're not aliens. They're magical. And the cows start mooing at me.
Yeah.
We're talking about this experience in that moment. And he starts telling me, and he's like, son, and like that video you took 2 weeks ago, the one where the two orbs flash over each other, and I'm like on the phone with him. He's like, you don't get it. Like your voice is connected to them, or they're connected to your voice. Like you have to understand your connection with them. And I'm just like, wow, sitting there. Then I kid you not. I don't know if you noticed this. I'm sure you've noticed this. Obviously, you grew up on this property too, but at the wood line, there's a fence about hip height.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not chicken wire, but it's wire.
Yeah.
That fence is right there at the tree line. And just on the other side of that fence, I'm talking about a blood-curdling howl. A coyote howled at us.
Whoa.
Howled at us.
And they sound horrible.
Oh, it sounds
The way
like
they
a wolf.
scream. Yeah.
It sounds like a wolf.
Nah, it sounds like us. It sounds
coyote?
like we
Like
do.
a human?
Well, no,
A little bit,
it's,
the way
it
they
was-
scream.
It's not a bark like a dog. It's a howl like a wolf.
Whoa.
Like a build up and the long peak of the sound, and then a couple of oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like we're sitting there like whoa, and Dad looked at me, dude. His eyes were wide, and that's rare.
Yeah.
And Dad looked at me. He's like, son, I am 61 years old. He kept saying that. I am 61 years old. I have been all up in the woods in North Carolina. I have hunted here my entire life. I have never in 61 years in any part of North Carolina heard a coyote howl like that. He was like, you need to pay attention right now because that was a message from the spirit world. And I pulled up my phone, and he was like, he's showing me, and it was like death and rebirth symbolism, being protected by the spirit world. It's like a trickster god, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, like giving you a sign that you're going to be renewed. And it was all this like positive symbolism.
Wow.
And he was telling me like, I've only ever heard coyotes out in the West, like hunting. My dad would always travel. He'd go hunt in Montana and California and Texas and wherever. He would hear them out there, never in North Carolina. Incredibly rare. Then I look it up. We only heard the one coyote howl. They don't even howl solo. They howl in packs.
Oh, wow.
They howl in groups. They're communicating with each other.
Yeah, they're usually like, in my experience, they're a little bit more like yippy than a wolf. They're a little bit more like a dog bark, like a high pitched dog bark.
No, this was a howl.
But no. I've only heard them like yip, and they like yip in packs, so you can like hear them in the distance, but never like a howl.
This was straight up like, Dad, is this a wolf? And he's like, that's a coyote, you know? So then what happens? I'm sitting here. You know how it goes. We sit on our lawn chairs out there and we look up.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here looking down. Don't have my glasses on already. I'm trying to text my wife. Holy shit. I just saw a coyote howl at me. I didn't see it, but I heard it, you know?
Yeah.
It was literally like 40 yards away or less. Like right there in the woods.
Whoa.
Buddy snarling at the fence. Like it's right there. You know what I mean?
Damn.
I'm texting Jenny, dude, a coyote just howled at us. And this. I'm telling the story. And then Dad is still looking up. I'm talking within 2 or 3 minutes of that coyote howling. He goes, oh, I just saw a spirit.
Whoa.
5 feet over his face, a black spirit apparition manifested. And he said it looked like he's seen many of these. This is not the first time. He said it looked like a swimming magic carpet. It just flew over his face and then it disappeared.
Wow.
And then we turned, and then we're talking and we're like mind blown. And I like kind of look out of the corner of my eye behind me, kind of like this. And I see a bright orb, but I saw it appear. So I was like, there's an orb. Is it a plane? No, I think it's an orb. You know, you had the thought, you're trying to identify it.
Every time.
And then a line of them start coming, you know, they're side by side, but like it looks vertical from your perspective, but it's not that simple. You know, one is closer, but you know, the orb is up there. And then a line of these blue dots start coming and I'm like, oh my God, is that Starlink?
Yeah.
And then we got that video of the orb next to Starlink.
Yeah.
And it was, dude, it's like.
It's a crazy video.
Seeing it on video
It's
is one
cool.
thing, but imagine you're looking up there and you're seeing the whole freaking sky move.
Yeah. That's a lot of
insane.
movement at one time.
Yeah. And like not only was that Starlink, but that was an orb.
Yeah, you can see a bunch of satellites, and you're like, that's what a
That's
satellite.
your sample size.
Exactly.
There's your
That's
outlier.
what a satellite looks like. That's not a satellite.
We also confirmed at the moment we saw it, it was not the International Space Station.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that, but Dad was going to post the video. He's like, let me double check.
Yeah.
But no, the orb showed up and it was very bright. Like the luminosity of the orb was like way beyond the Starlink lights. It was gold. And then when the Starlink faded out, the orb started flashing red and then it turned and flickered and disappeared.
Wow, man.
And then the crowd showed up, and then they started seeing some orbs. It died down when they like really, they got like a few. They didn't get like an all night affair, like you know, like it happens a lot of times. It was like they each saw 2 or 3, and some of them were crazy, like flashes in the woods. Some of them were like, we literally saw one. This is rare. We literally saw an orb going left from our perspective. And it just did a U-turn and took a hard right and shot the other way.
Oh,
wow.
Yo. Those are the ones that like curve and change direction.
That ain't a satellite.
Yeah.
No.
That ain't nothing.
That was one of the
I mean, we
things-
know they're not satellites by
Yeah.
now, but it's like, come on. Like,
I want to just super briefly tell everybody. I overheard a conversation my dad was having on the phone the other day on speakerphone with one of his old buddies, and he was talking about he saw the documentary, the History Channel episode. And he literally said in that thing, he was like, man, at first I thought they were satellites, but then they started moving erratically. He said, I saw them curving and moving. And he said, I know that ain't no satellite.
he said they had the astrophysicist on there.
He did. He's
Yeah,
like, they
yeah.
had
NASA?
the astrophysicist man and the NASA man out
And the
there.
CIA man.
He said, man, they all said it was real, and they had that machine out there. They knew it wasn't a plane, it wasn't a drone, it wasn't no satellite. And then he was like, I want to come see them.
That is just amazing. That just like tickles the little booty on
You
my
have to
heart.
stop.
Oh my!
You have to
You did
stop.
not just say that.
It's like
It tickles the little booty
like
on
it's a
my
baby,
heart.
like it's a joyful little baby. Was that like?
Tickles the booty
Was
on
that
my
a little
heart.
too visually
Oh my
stimulating?
It was a little
I'm a
too-
very visual thinker.
I know, me
It's
too.
Like hardcore.
I'm very
I can't
visual.
avoid it.
But you know how crazy is that? This is like my dad's childhood best friend, like one of
Yeah.
his best
Right.
friends ever growing
Like
up.
50 years.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, he literally said on the phone, I don't believe in no Bigfoot. I don't believe in no outer space mess. That's what he said, outer space mess. But when I saw that right there, I knew that was real.
He
This
called me at
sounds
9:30 in the
like
morning.
writing.
Yeah.
It sounds like writing.
Yeah.
He called me at 9:30 in the morning yesterday to tell me this. He texted me. He's like, it's like 9:30, bro. And I had just woken up at 9. You know me. It takes me a while to get out of bed. He texted me, you awake? And I said, yes, sir. Within seconds, he called me. He was like, dude, I got to tell you what I just heard. And it was exactly like that.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, bro. But I mean, it's true. Like, you've seen satellites your whole life.
Yeah.
When you see something that looks kind of like a satellite, except it's brighter and a different color, and then it starts moving weird, and it's way up in the sky. A drone can't get that high. There ain't nothing. Dude, at this point, we don't even got to say stuff like that because
Right.
they brought out that AI machine that tracks everything, even
Yeah.
space junk. It tracks everything, and it was straight up saying those orbs are unknown. Unknown origin.
And also, if it's just as simple as space junk, why is it not being seen all the time? Like the moon video
Yeah,
of
you ain't
them
gonna see-
flying around the moon. Everyone would have seen that happen. That's why we know it's fake.
Exactly.
So like, it just doesn't. There's no identifiable thing.
That was just like, that was smoking gun, that AI device.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah. There's no arguing. I mean, with the EEG thing as well. There's
That
just
too.
no arguing.
No.
You can't refute it.
The reality is, and like, I'm honestly, I am 100% thankful and pleased and at peace with what aired
Yeah.
and how it was portrayed and like what people have seen. But the reality is, it was literally 100 times crazier.
yeah.
Yeah.
They got over 100 orbs.
Mhm.
And on the video, they only had the space to set up like 5 sightings, you know?
Which is
what-
still a lot.
Yeah, and but
Right.
what I've
All
been
things
saying,
considered.
Never been produced on camera
Yeah,
like that.
it's still a lot.
what I've been saying to Ryan though is think about it. Like, if this is like the majority of the planet's first kind of look into this, and there's immediately 100 orbs, it probably be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, and then also like it's televised,
Mhm.
so there's always this separation of disbelief or
Yeah.
Yes.
suspension of disbelief. You'll never know
Mhm.
who will receive it very well, and if you create a huge claim,
Mhm.
you're less likely to be taken as fact.
I think that was very tactfully
Yeah.
Right.
perfectly done. Because, like, yeah, I mean, if I had never heard a word of any of this and saw that for the first time and there was 100 orbs, I might be a little like,
Yeah,
huh?
But that was 100 unknowns.
yeah.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
So it did
but
happen.
it's okay. It's okay.
Right.
They could
You
just
know,
do a montage.
One is all one is all you need.
That's true.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
Just one.
That's true.
So I'm pleased with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it couldn't have been better. I mean, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And amazing. So then the next night we saw the documentary, and then we were walking to the building where, you know, we have this theater room in our apartment, and Dad was like, I feel him here halfway to the building. And I literally, I was purely joking, but I was also like, come on, dude, like we got to go. I was like, Dad, tell him to wait. We got a show to watch. You know, it's about to be on TV in a few minutes. I got to go set it up. And when we get to the building, orb appears. It's right over the building, I swear, where we're going to watch the show.
Whoa.
And the orb, it just appears. And then it goes and it disappears behind the theater building. And I literally
Come
made the joke.
on.
I was like, it's like a cosmic neon sign. Like,
Yeah.
you know, walk this way,
It's a
enjoy
red
the
carpet.
show.
It's a red
Yeah.
carpet.
Yeah.
It's a cosmic red carpet.
Yeah, that just flashed in my head. Like, you know, you're driving on a intergalactic highway and you got neon signs. It's like, right this way. Enjoy the show.
That's so cool, dude. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so happy for how the
Yeah,
turned
it
out.
could not have. I mean, you can always want more. You're allowed to want more as well. But it also went incredibly well.
Oh, man.
That's not to sound like it could have been anything different, I guess.
I think
For
it was
sure.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want that to. I don't want to mince words.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It was awesome, dude. It was so awesome. If you guys haven't seen it, anybody listening, you gotta go check that thing out.
Yeah.
Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, episode 8.
8.
Yeah.
Season finale.
I mean, come on now. You got to peep that thing. If you ain't seen it, what you doing?
Also,
Yeah.
if you're listening, I think there's a good chance.
There's a good chance. Yeah,
probably
there's a
seen
good,
it.
There's a good chance. But if you haven't, that thing is sweet.
Yeah, honestly,
They got that astrophysicist out there and the NASA guy out there.
The NASA guy.
Them things is twisting in erratic forms, formations. Dude, it was funny, bro.
Yeah, we're just having fun now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like the burden is gone. But
For sure.
was there anything before we close out that you didn't?
I mean, I did put like lots of notes, but
bit.
that's
Let's fucking-
Next time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do want to say like because I've been a long time, like since before you even aired the first one, I've been following the project. And like when you started producing, you had said like, oh yeah, we'll have you on. Maybe like we'll have you on. And I from that point was already writing lots of notes. Lots of notes. Y'all would say things in the episode, and then I'd be like, I want to talk about that. But then I stopped doing that because that's too much. There's 100 episodes now. I'm not going to sit here and, goofily nitpick or not. Like that's not how it was. But like that, but like I have a lot of notes. Like I want Thumper. 'Cause I thought about talking about that because
like esoteric symbolism.
yeah,
of movies
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
And like I have a whole Stephen King.
Ooh.
He is bathing in it. Like,
Really?
He really is.
I want to read
Listen.
is it Dark Tower?
Yeah,
I
there's
wanna
like
read
8
that.
I think there's 8 of
I
them.
really want to read
There might be 12. There's a lot.
I've only read a few of his books, but they're all incredible.
Read Pet Cemetery.
I haven't read it. I have
Love
a
the
copy
movies.
of it.
I've seen the movie. I've seen the modern
Listen.
one and the classic.
Oh, dude.
Classic better.
Yeah. Pet Cemetery, you know what the premise is?
Yeah, it's like a cemetery of pets and they come to life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well-
So there's more to it.
Everything comes to life. that's
Yeah,
buried in Pet
anything is
Cemetery.
buried.
Oh.
Anything buried in it will come back.
Well, spoil it for me.
Okay. Yeah, we
even
could.
your children.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah. The book, I want to preface it by saying the book feels bad.
Really?
The whole book, once the child passes away,
Uh-huh.
the
Hit
whole
by
book,
a truck.
yeah.
It's like a
Yikes.
little boy.
Once it happens, the sensation of dread never stops. And it's
Oh.
not like because he's writing like, all these weird things keep happening. It's, am I really going to bury this thing? Am I going to bury my child in something that may or may not come back messed up?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
because
And-
the animals would come back and they'd be like rabid or
Yeah.
something violent.
They would always come back. He already
Every
knew.
time. And you would go
The house
beyond
cat,
the
the
pet
dog.
cemetery and bury it.
And then
And they would come back a day later and they'd be wrong.
Oh.
And then the child dies, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Like they bury the pet first, and
Yeah.
then the pet comes back, and he's like, "Well," and then the child dies, and the rest of it's like, "Do I do it?" And then when he does it, it's bad. It's not good.
Oh.
The way he writes grief sucks.
I think
It
I've
feels
only,
bad.
I think I've only read like The Shining, Cujo.
God, The Shining's so good.
Shining,
Have
the
you
book-
read Doctor Sleep?
I have it. I haven't read it yet,
You
but I have it.
need to read it.
I've read Shining, Cujo, and
Carrie.
Salem's Lot.
Okay, Salem's Lot is so good.
Salem's
you
Lot
know
goes
what?
hard.
It adapted. You know what's adapting it?
Huh?
Midnight Mass.
Oh,
It's literally an adaptation
okay.
of Salem's Lot.
Midnight. Wait. Oh.
Yes.
my
Is it not
Netflix
clear
show.
now?
God. Midnight Mass went
It's
so hard.
amazing.
I cannot. No, wait a minute. I read Salem's Lot after I watched Midnight Mass, and I didn't put that together the whole time reading Salem's
It
Lot.
was because the first two. We'll talk. As long as we can.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The first one that he did, The Haunting of Hill House. It's based on the book by Shirley.
Great show.
Yeah, incredible.
Great show.
Shirley something Jackson. Shirley Jackson. It's called The Haunting of Hill House. It's a book. The second one is
Turning of
Bly
the
Manor.
Screw.
The Turn of the Screw.
It's a
This one-
adaptation of that. The Turn of the Screw.
Yep.
Is that a Stephen King thing?
No.
No,
Okay.
no. It's
But
like
in Salem's Lot, the guy loves it. He loves Dracula. Salem's Lot's, you've
Yes.
probably read Dracula, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, forever ago. I read it
Yeah.
in school.
I've read Frankenstein,
Salem-
not Dracula.
Oh wow.
You
Frankenstein's
should
good.
read
Frankenstein is amazing.
Beautiful. It's so different.
It's considered like the first of the two most integral like genres now.
What, Frankenstein?
Yeah, science fiction and horror.
But it's
Mary
so much,
Shelley revolutionized
there's
both of those
alchemy in it.
simultaneously. Yeah.
But the book is so much more beautiful than any of the movie adaptations and stuff because
You can't distill it.
Frankenstein's monster was beautiful.
Yeah.
He was
He was
perfect.
perfect.
He was
Yeah.
perfect.
He
It was
was brilliant.
uncanny. That's why he threw people off.
He was sensitive.
Yeah, because he was so perfect. But Salem's Lot goes so hard. I cannot believe I didn't put together that.
Dude.
It just never occurred to me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, these are different things.
Yeah, it's also not like it's not very clear. He talks about it's more of an inspiration than an adaptation, obviously.
Right. I can see that now.
Yeah, but the reason I bring up Pet Cemetery is, I mean, in like the way they bury the people, they bury them in a spiral-shaped cemetery, and they get resurrected.
Whoa.
You know, like the spiraling, and they come back, and like they're different.
I wonder what direction
it's negative.
it spirals in.
I don't remember.
I
think it says clockwise.
That's correct.
It says one. It actually describes the direction, but like the whole thing, it's like literally death and rebirth. That's the whole thing. But in the case of it, there's a phrase they say all the time: the soil is sour.
This is something like the soil is sour
because they tried
the
to
stony grounds or
It's
something
so
like that.
good.
I'm gonna look it up for you.
I wanna
Oh my
read
God.
that now.
There's a
I have it.
particular
Amazing.
quote that comes
Yeah.
back.
I have a copy of it. I just haven't
Granted,
read it.
I've only seen the movie,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah,
I'm
they say
sure
it a lot
the
in
book
the
is
book too.
way better.
And the way they handle Henry, which is the Wendigo, because there's a Wendigo in it. They handle it really well. It's really fun the way they do it. I love it. I love it. I can praise Pet Cemetery a lot. He doesn't even like reading it. He hates the way it makes him feel.
Stephen King?
Yeah. He says it's the
Wow.
worst feeling book he's ever written.
the ground is sour.
The ground is it's so good.
Okay, y'all are hyping me up to read
Dude.
that one now.
And then all of the other stuff. I mean, I don't even have to like The Institute. Have you read it?
Nope.
It's like 2019. It came out recently.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
It's a
Dude,
Wendigo creature that haunts the land.
Yep.
I'm reading that. That's not explicitly in the movie.
Nope.
It's a Wendigo.
Yep.
I mean, typically his books are just like the
Way-
movies are always great,
Yeah.
but then like the
Are they,
book
though?
usually no,
It's,
no,
like,
they're
good.
not always great. Yeah,
It's good.
The movies are not always great.
No.
no, they're not always great, but like the books always go harder, even if the movie is
like
sick.
The Shining is
The Shining.
That's just
crazy.
mostly always true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
honestly,
There's some
Mostly
adaptations
always.
that do the justice.
Look.
Like Dune is crazy. It's missing some important features.
Yeah.
But Dune is really good.
yo, hot take, controversial take. Don't kill me, anybody out there, but
You did.
I think the Lord of the Rings movies are better than the books.
I think that's not that hard to take.
I can't read the books, honestly.
That's not a hard take.
I've tried 3 times.
I love the books. I've read them all like 5 times. I love them, but I've watched the
You
movies
can't digest them.
100 times.
Yeah.
I love the story. I love the lore. I love everything about it, the plot, everything. But the way that the books are written, it is just like so hard to get through.
That's how
Yeah.
I feel about The Turn of the Screw. One, it's really old. But then when you think about Dracula, and it was written in 1896 or something, it's like incredibly modern. It's
awesome.
impressively modern. The
That's
Dracula
how I felt
book.
about Dune, even though it was
Dune
only
is
the 19.
so modern.
It's the 1960s.
It's so modern.
It
So ahead of
feels
its
like
time.
you're reading a modern, like it's the
current.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like so interesting, so compelling.
Yeah.
Easy to understand.
Well,
yeah. Well, yeah.
the first few chapters I had to reread like 3 times.
Talking about Dune?
I thought I was having an aneurysm.
But-
like,
but-
yes,
it's
Dune.
because they drop you in without
is
any
it-
holding hands.
Is this
No.
just because of like the made up words?
Yes.
Well,
It's
then
a lot of that,
That
yeah.
doesn't mean it's hard to understand. You're just seeing make believe gibberish.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to
It's
learn
like
what
Bene
they mean.
Gesserit.
Yeah, the
and-
Gom Jabbar.
The Gom Jabbar.
But that's not your fault.
Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's not your fault.
It's
right,
not.
but I felt like I was having an aneurysm
The
reading
writing is in such a way that I feel like
It respects you.
It respects you. Yeah. It's not overly, fluffed up and
Yeah.
It's not patronizing. It doesn't spoon feed it to you. It's like you'll catch on. You'll catch
Yeah.
on. Just if you just
And when
breeze-
you do, it's
oh
it
yeah,
goes.
You can't stop.
Yeah.
When you catch on finally, you're like, okay, let's.
I mean, there's
go.
a reason I I listened to them with an audiobook.
That's reading.
But yeah,
That's
some
still
people,
reading.
Yeah. I did it all within a year. All 6 of
Nice.
them. And
all of them.
all of them.
Whoa.
I've read 7, which is Kevin Anderson and Brian Herbert, the son.
yeah, his son.
They're okay.
Really?
But you can't beat Frank
I've
Herbert.
only
You can't beat him.
read Dune and Messiah.
I have an off
You
the
should
wall
read
question.
Children of Dune, and then you desperately need to
Sandworms?
get on. Sandworm is the 6th one.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
Lee?
Sandworm's the 7th.
You ever read Harry Potter?
No, I'm gonna listen to him. I recently.
Yeah, you see his eyes are wide.
I know. I've seen
You
all the
see
way
his
up
eyes
to,
are wide.
I've seen him all the
You
way up to
think about
7
that.
part 1.
You think about that right there. How you're making him react.
I want to. I thought about doing it.
You think long and hard.
About how you're making him feel.
But
Bruh.
yeah, like
Hey, shame to you, boy.
I wanted like the Institute. Stephen King's The Institute. It is literally there's no smoke and mirrors. There's no smoke and mirrors. It is the Monroe Institute. There's no smoke and mirrors.
Ooh.
Yes, like I don't know if it's intentional, same time, same situation. I don't care. It's the Monroe Institute. I
gotta read that.
They're all the main character, Luke. He
Skywalker?
he gets kidnapped. Not the Monroe Institute, to be very clear. Emily didn't get it kidnapped, but he gets kidnapped, and they force him to gain
Like
psychic powers.
Whoa.
So like there's TK. What's telekinesis and the other one? What's mind reading?
Like telepathy?
Telepathy. TP and TK. That's what they call them. TK
Yeah,
is
telepathy and-
telekinesis, and so the ability to move objects, and then TP is the ability to read minds. Eventually, all of them gain the ability to just through like almost like a ritual where they go into a room and they call them the Stasi lights, and you just look at weird circles and they make your brain more attuned to being able to like have those psychic abilities.
Like the
So-
frequencies.
Yeah, and
There was a Star
in-
Trek episode like that.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's called The Four Lights in Next Generation.
You know, it is like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Pennywise,
is so
he
good.
opens his mouth and it's like they call
dead-
him
hypnotizes them.
dead lights.
Dead
Yeah.
lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they slowly, in kind of like with the Monroe Institute in particular, they go into a thing, they'll have a little ritual where they all go separate ways and then try to astral project and in a few words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll all have their group meditation session and then it helps open you up a little bit. They just do that in a group setting with everyone in the room where they get opened up a little bit and then they all become more powerful, more attuned with their psychological selves. And it's a Stephen King book, so it's not it's not totally nice the way it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always like a darker vibe.
Yeah. But like it's the same thing. Like it's in essence, it's still like nurturing a psychokinetic type
That's so
thing.
cool.
And the kids, like they even go into detail about how the if they're all together, they're more intensely a bit like it's crazy, dude.
That's definitely a recurring theme in Stephen King.
Yeah.
By the way, talk about Barbie. I know you haven't seen it yet, so
Right.
like very light spoil, just
okay.
themes. I'm not gonna tell you what happened, but not only are there like the Matrix and 2001 references, but there's one quote where like you've seen the commercial. They go to the real world.
Yeah.
And there's real people.
Yeah.
One of the real people says, "Mom, did we just shine?"
Yeah.
What?
Dude.
And it's like the context is like psychic, like
Yeah,
it's
Are
like,
you kidding?
did we just
dude.
shine right now? Something like that.
That is
Yeah,
hilarious.
but it's the reference.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Stephen King's a genius. He
Yeah.
really. I don't want to give him the same certainty of credit as like excuse me
How dude, you're
Lovecraft, where like he's very prolific. He's a household
yeah.
name.
Oh, yeah.
Lovecraft, I think at this point is even if you don't know it.
Yeah, well, the Kings are because of Lovecraft.
Exactly.
You know what I
He's
mean?
deeply inspired
But
by it.
that's just how art. That's how it
yeah.
goes.
Art imitates
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it
So
is.
yeah, like he's super. I love the way he does things like that. And there's endless supplies of his weird mystic
Yo, so
teachings in it, where he's also like Edmund with super mystical. Like he just it's really
what
cool.
might be really sick? When Lee comes on again, we could do an episode around a Stephen King story.
yeah,
We could pick one of the books. We've never done The Shining.
dude. The Shining is dripping.
Yeah, because you might not.
You know what would be even cooler?
What?
If we just did like a more robust King episode where
Mhm.
we each read a book we were interested in.
Love it.
That's a fun idea.
Like,
Love
because
it.
I'm kind of interested in reading Pet Cemetery after being it's described to me. You could read The Shining.
I've read it.
Yeah,
I'll
so-
read
Well,
it again.
whatever
read
you want.
Read Doctor Sleep.
Wait, yeah.
Just read Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, yes.
Is
I
the Pet
do-
Cemetery big?
No, it's like they're all kind of fat. It's like 400 pages.
Yeah, that's not that big.
It's not too bad.
Nah,
It's King.
pace
I
myself,
mean,
you know?
when you compare it to The Stand and It,
Oh,
each one being at least 1,100
1,000,
pages.
yeah.
That's why I could never read
I love
it.
I want to read it.
I
hear it, like, obviously it's his number one of his. It's The Stand. Typically, it's The Stand and It.
The 2018 remake of it, the
good.
first
It's
one,
really good.
it's one of my favorite horror films.
I really like Chapter 2. I know, like, I really
I
like
like it too.
because if you take it to, like, I was talking about Junji Ito, if horror isn't goofy, it doesn't work as well. It has to be kind of goofy. And Chapter 2 is very goofy.
Really?
It's super goofy.
well, he's a clown.
Yeah, like it has to be. But like the whole thing where they like go off and they do their own little like story, and it's just good. I love it. It's very
That's
goofy.
a fun
though.
idea for next time Lee's on. We all read a Stephen King novel and we bring some stuff to the table.
I gotta find a good one. That I wanted to do the JFK assassination one where the guy goes back and stops it. But I don't think that's super
I've heard
mystical.
about that one.
I hear it's really good.
That was a limited Hulu series. It was not that good.
Really?
The
but the
series.
book is supposed.
I'm not
The
saying
book
the
is like a
book.
top 10.
It was I think it was called 1963 or something. It was with James Franco.
It's like 11.
Right.
it was all right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
the series.
But the
Cool.
book is supposed to be good. And then I hear Fairy Tale's good. It's his brand new one about
the anime.
No.
No,
That's
no.
a fun idea.
Yeah, I'm
In
absolutely.
like 15 years, we'll do a One Piece episode.
There you go.
yeah.
Yo, tonight we watching Gear 5.
Yeah.
I'm hyped. It's about to come out.
It's about to come out. Let's
Oh
go.
my
Come
God,
on. Let's
you're
wrap
right.
it
Let's
up.
wrap
Let's
it
get
up.
going.
Well, look, Alex has to meet his wonderful sweetie for dinner.
Okay.
Sorry, Olivia, for holding him. We do have to wrap up, but Lee will have you back on. So I think we're at a great stopping point.
Yeah.
Save your notes.
We got through a lot of them. I mean, we got a lot.
We'll do a. This was great. It was
Yeah.
like an introduction to, like I really did want to pick your brain about how you grew up. The vibe around.
I hope I answered it to
You
the
did.
best
You
of
did
your
because
my
I
ability.
never want to be negative towards people.
Yeah, no,
But-
it's not anyone's fault that they're the way they are typically. Like
Right.
it's hard to
Yeah.
Right.
it's hard to define why, but they can't help it.
But also like next time, with that being removed from the the tasks at hand, we can do a more content
Sure.
heavy thing next time, and we'll dive into some King literature or something.
I would love to. I love King.
Hell yeah.
I didn't know I loved King until I started reading it, and I think that's literally how everyone
Yeah.
happens to do it.
Yeah.
King's great. He's
Hell yeah.
super smart. The way he does
Or
things. The way
okay,
he-
I'm sorry, I have an even better idea. Instead of just doing a King episode,
Mhm.
we do an overall, not just Lovecraft specific,
Yeah.
but like a more, you could say, mystical horror or cosmic horror, and we could do King. I could maybe read Uzumaki.
Oh my God.
we could
please do.
open.
Please
we
do.
could open the authorship here. You
It's
know what I
literally
mean?
about
Don't
spy.
limit
That would
it
be
to
cool.
King,
Come on.
but do more like a mystical horror
I would
novel
love that.
type thing.
Yeah,
would
or
love that.
yeah.
That'd be sick.
We've got to find one more author.
Yeah, you
I
do
guess
gotta-
Junji Ito, King, and Lovecraft.
There you
But,
go. You got to read Uzumaki.
You-
It's
Yes.
so good.
Mission Zero
Yeah.
required.
So good.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Thanks, Lee. You're
Yeah,
the best.
I
absolutely.
was about to say that, and you said it at the same
I
time
said it
as me,
first.
so now I'm not going to say it.
It's okay.
Thanks for coming on the show, dude.
I would love to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right.
Definitely.
3, 2, 1.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, check out our other videos.
And before you go, don't forget to subscribe. See you next week.
Peace.